Lieutenant Commander Ben Rogers gripped the controls of the Shadow of Terra as the ship dropped out of hyperspace. They had traveled 12 light-years in 18 days. Now they were in the Kalani system, and what they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. The system was full of wreckage. Pieces of destroyed ships floated everywhere like a metal graveyard. Some of the pieces were huge, parts of space stations that had once held millions of people. Others were small, escape pods that had tried to flee but never made it to safety. "Sensors are picking up movement," reported Lieutenant Sarah Johnson from her station. "Multiple large contacts near the fourth planet." Ben activated the ship's advanced stealth systems. The Shadow of Terra became invisible to any known detection method. They moved closer to get a better look at what was happening. What they found was worse than anyone had imagined. The Devourer fleet was not made of normal ships. These vessels looked like they were grown rather than built. They had organic curves and surfaces that seemed to pulse like living tissue. Some of the ships were clearly made from the remains of Kalani vessels, twisted and changed into something horrible. "Dear God," whispered Captain Ryan Brooks as he looked at the tactical display. "How many are there?" "Computer counts over 3,000 vessels," Sarah answered, "ranging from small fighters to massive motherships. Some of those big ones are the size of cities." Colonel Danny Wright entered the bridge and studied the readings. His enhanced eyes could process the data faster than normal humans. What he saw made his jaw tighten with anger. "They are not just destroying the Kalani," he said quietly. "They are using them." Dr. Amy Foster looked up from her xenobiology station. She had been analyzing the sensor data of the alien ships. Her face was pale. "Colonel, I am reading human-level intelligence signatures from inside those ships, but the neural patterns are wrong. It looks like the Kalani are still alive, but under some kind of external control." "You mean they are being forced to fight against their own people?" asked Major Kate Sullivan. "Exactly. The Devourers are not just killing the Kalani. They are turning them into weapons." Danny felt rage building inside him. This was not war. This was something much worse. The Devourers were taking away everything that made the Kalani who they were. They were stealing their minds and bodies and using them as tools. "Take us closer," he ordered Ben. "I want to see exactly what we are dealing with." The Shadow of Terra moved through the debris field like a ghost. Its sensors recorded everything. The crew watched in horror as they saw what the Devourers had done to the Kalani civilization. Planets that had once been green and full of life were now brown and dying. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were being torn apart by their own people. Kalani ships that had once protected their worlds were now attacking the survivors. "There," Sarah pointed to her screen. "Kalani Prime, the fourth planet. I am detecting about 1 million life signs still on the surface. The survivors," Kate said, "the ones the Devourers have not caught yet." Ben adjusted the ship's sensors for a closer look. The planet's surface showed scenes of destruction and chaos, but in some areas, Kalani forces were still fighting. They had built barriers and strongholds. They were making their last stand against their own transformed people. "Colonel," Dr. Foster called out from her station, "I am picking up the source of the control signals. There," she pointed to the largest of the organic ships. "That thing is coordinating all the controlled Kalani. It is like a brain controlling thousands of bodies." Danny studied the massive vessel. It was easily 10 miles long and covered with what looked like nerve tissue. Smaller ships were attached to it like parasites feeding on a host. "Can we break the control signal?" he asked. "Maybe, but we would need to get close to that command ship." "Very close." "How close?" "Inside it." The bridge fell silent. Getting inside a Devourer command ship would be suicide for any normal military force. But the Reaper pack was not normal. "Sir," Ben spoke up, "I can get a small team onto that ship. The Shadow of Terra's stealth systems can hide us until we are right next to it. But once we attack, they will know we are here." Danny nodded. Major Sullivan, prepare Assault Team Alpha for immediate deployment. 12 soldiers, full combat loadout. Sir, 12 soldiers against a ship that size? Kate asked. Danny looked at her with eyes that glowed in the dim light of the bridge. Kate, 12 human soldiers are not the same as 12 of anything else. The Devourers are about to learn the difference. 20 minutes later, Danny stood in the ship's deployment bay with 11 other soldiers. They wore black armor that could stop energy weapons and survive in space. Their faces were hidden behind helmets that gave them perfect vision in any condition. Sergeant Alex Turner checked his weapons one final time. He carried guns that fired rounds designed to disrupt alien nervous systems. Next to him, Corporal Nina Walsh tested her stealth systems. She could become nearly invisible even without the ship's help. Remember, Danny told his team, we are not here to fight fair. We are here to win. The Devourers have been conquering civilizations by using their own people against them. They think they are unbeatable because they have never faced anything like us. The soldiers checked their equipment. Each one carried weapons that the galaxy had never seen, guns that could fire through alien armor, explosives that could burn through living tissue, blades that could cut through anything. But their most dangerous weapons were their minds. These soldiers thought like predators. They could adapt to any situation. They could find weakness in any enemy. Deployment in 60 seconds, Ben announced over the communication system. Danny looked at his soldiers. The Kalani asked the universe to remember them. We are going to make sure they live to tell their own story. The deployment bay opened. Outside was the void of space and the massive Devourer command ship. It hung there like a tumor made of metal and flesh. Smaller ships moved around it like antibodies protecting a disease. Go! Danny ordered. The 12 human soldiers launched themselves into space. They moved faster and more silently than anything the galaxy had ever produced. Their stealth systems made them invisible to Devourer sensors. As they approached the alien vessel, each soldier felt the same thing. This was what they had trained for. This was why they existed. Earth's apex predators were about to show the galaxy what happened when someone threatened innocence while humans were watching. The command ship's surface was covered in organic ports and openings. The soldiers found an entry point and cut their way inside. The interior was a nightmare of twisted corridors and pulsing walls. But humans had evolved in nightmares. They had climbed to the top of Earth's food chain by being more dangerous than anything that hunted them. The Devourers were about to learn why Earth had never been conquered. Danny led his team through the alien corridors. His enhanced hearing picked up movement ahead. His improved vision could see in the darkness that would blind normal humans. His augmented muscles were ready to move faster than alien reflexes could follow. Behind him, 11 other predators followed. They moved like a pack of wolves hunting through an enemy forest. Each one knew exactly what to do. Each one was ready to kill anything that threatened their mission. The Devourers had conquered 17 civilizations. They had turned entire species into slaves. They had never faced defeat because they had never faced humans. That was about to change. Deep in the shadow of Terra, Dr. Foster monitored the mission from her lab. She could track the soldiers' progress through their armor's sensors. She watched as they moved deeper into the command ship. Colonel Wright's team has reached the central nervous system, she reported to the bridge. They are about to make contact with the main control center. Ben Rogers kept the ship in position, ready to extract the team if necessary. But he knew that extraction might not be possible. This was a one-way mission. The soldiers had known that when they volunteered. On the bridge, Kate Sullivan watched the tactical display. The Devourer fleet had not noticed the human presence yet. But once the assault team attacked the command ship, that would change quickly. All weapon systems ready, she reported. If they detect us, we can fight our way out. But fighting was not the plan. The plan was to free the controlled Kalani and turn them against their captors. The plan was to use the Devourer's own tactics against them. Inside the command ship, Danny Wright and his team reached their target. The control center was a massive chamber filled with organic computers and neural interfaces. Thousands of screens showed views from controlled colony all across the system. In the center of it all was something that might have once been a colony. It had been changed and modified until it was more machine than living being. Cables ran from its brain to the ship's systems. It was the central processor that controlled all the other slaves. "That is what we came for," Danny whispered to his team. "The heart of their control system." The 12 human soldiers prepared to attack. They had traveled 12 light years for this moment. They had trained their entire lives for this fight. The Devourers were about to discover what apex predators looked like when they protected their territory. The attack began at exactly 0300 ship time. Danny Wright moved first, his enhanced muscles launching him across the control chamber faster than the alien systems could track. His monomolecular blade cut through the central control unit like it was paper. The response was immediate. Alarms screamed throughout the Devourer command ship. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. The creature that had once been Kalani made a horrible sound as its connection to the control network was severed. Neural. "Disruptors now!" Danny shouted. His team activated their weapons. The devices sent out waves of energy that disrupted alien nerve signals. Throughout the ship, controlled Kalani suddenly stopped moving. For the first time in months, their minds were their own again. Sergeant Alex Turner threw thermite charges at the organic computers. The alien technology began to burn with white-hot flame. "Control nodes destroyed," he called out. "The slaves are free." But the team's victory was short-lived. The ship's defenses were activating. Walls began to close. Organic weapons emerged from hidden panels. The Devourers were fighting back. Corporal Nina Walsh became invisible and moved to cover the team's exit route. Her enhanced reflexes let her dodge energy blasts that would have killed normal humans. "Movement coming from all directions," she warned. "We have company." The first Devourers entered the chamber. They were horrible creatures, part machine, part organic tissue, part something else entirely. They moved on multiple legs and had weapons growing from their bodies. Their faces were hidden behind metal masks. Danny smiled. His teeth had been modified to be sharper and stronger. "Finally, I was wondering when we would meet the real enemy." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human soldiers moved with coordination that seemed almost telepathic. They anticipated each other's actions perfectly. When one soldier needed cover, another was already providing it. The Devourers had conquered 17 civilizations, but they had never faced Earth's apex predators. Humans were persistence hunters. They could fight longer and harder than any other species. They never gave up. They never stopped moving forward. Danny's blade cut through Devourer armor like it was cloth. Turner's weapons burned holes in alien flesh. Walsh appeared and disappeared, striking from impossible angles. The other soldiers fought with a fury that surprised even themselves. "Exit route secured," Nina called out. "We need to move now." The team began fighting their way out of the command ship. Behind them, freed Kalani were beginning to understand what had happened. Their minds were clear for the first time in months. They could think their own thoughts again. Some of the freed aliens found weapons and began fighting alongside the humans. Others worked to free more of their people. The Devourer control system was collapsing throughout the ship. Meanwhile, aboard the Shadow of Terra, the effects of the assault were becoming visible on the sensors. "Multiple Kalani ships are changing course," reported Lieutenant Sarah Johnson. "They are no longer attacking their own people. The neural disruption is working." Dr. Amy Foster watched the biological readings from her station. "The freed Kalani are using their knowledge of Devourer systems to shut down more control nodes. It is spreading like a chain reaction." Ben Rogers kept the ship hidden while monitoring the situation. "Colonel Wright's team is fighting their way to the extraction point." But there are thousands of devourers between them and safety. Major Kate Sullivan made a decision. All assault teams prepare for combat deployment. We are going in to get our people. On the planet's surface, something amazing was happening. Kalani soldiers who had been forced to attack their own cities suddenly stopped. They looked around in confusion as their minds cleared. Then they turned their weapons against the devourers who had enslaved them. The tide of battle was changing across the entire system. Ships that had been attacking Kalani refugees suddenly changed sides. Weapons that had been pointed at innocent civilians turned toward the real enemy. But the devourers were not finished. They had backup systems and emergency protocols. New control. Signals began broadcasting from other ships. Some of the freed Kalani fell under alien influence again. Inside the command ship, Danny's team was running out of time. The corridors were filling with enemy soldiers. Their ammunition was getting low. The ship's automatic systems were trying to seal them inside. There! Turner pointed to an airlock ahead. Extraction point! The team fought their way forward. Behind them, the command ship was tearing itself apart as freed Kalani sabotaged critical systems. Explosions echoed through the corridors. The lights were failing. Danny was the last one to reach the airlock. As he ran, a devourer soldier appeared behind him. The alien raised its weapon to fire at the colonel's back, but Nina Walsh was there, first. She materialized out of invisibility and drove her combat knife into the creature's spine. "Never turn your back on a human," she whispered. The team made it to the extraction point just as the shadow of Terra decloaked nearby. Ben Rogers had positioned the ship perfectly. The soldiers leaped across the void of space and landed safely in the deployment bay. "All teams aboard," Ben reported. "Taking evasive action." The shadow of Terra accelerated away from the dying command ship. Behind them, the massive vessel was breaking apart. Secondary explosions lit up the darkness of space. But their work was not finished. There were still thousands of devourer ships in the system. Many Kalani were still under alien control. The real battle was just beginning. "Colonel," Dr. Foster called from her lab. "I am reading massive power surges from the devourer fleet. They are activating some kind of backup system." Danny made it to the bridge just in time to see new ships appearing on the sensors. These were different from the others. Larger, more heavily armed, and completely organic. They looked like living weapons the size of cities. "Those are pure devourers," Foster reported, "not converted ships. Those are their original forms." The new ships began broadcasting control signals 10 times stronger than before. Across the system, freed Kalani started falling under alien influence again. The liberation was being reversed. Kate Sullivan looked at the tactical display with growing concern. "Sir, we freed maybe half of the controlled population, but these new ships are taking them back." Danny studied the readings. The pure devourer vessels were positioning themselves around the system like a net. They were not just trying to recapture the Kalani. They were preparing for something bigger. "They know we are here," he realized. "They know someone attacked. Their command ship. They are getting ready to hunt us." Ben Rogers checked his stealth systems. "Sir, the shadow of Terra is still invisible to their sensors, but if they flood the system with enough energy, they might detect us anyway." "How long before they can do that?" Danny asked. "Maybe an hour." The colonel thought quickly. They had damaged the devourer control network, but not destroyed it. The aliens were adapting to human tactics faster than expected. Soon they would have all the Kalani under control again, and then they would start looking for the ship that had dared to attack them. "Major Sullivan," Danny said, "how many assault teams can we deploy simultaneously?" "All 12 teams, sir. That is our entire combat force." "Good, because we are about to show these devourers what happens when they threaten innocents while humans are watching." Danny activated the ship-wide communication system. His voice reached every soldier on board. "Attention, Reaper Pack. The enemy has revealed their true strength. They think they can recapture their slaves and hunt us down. They think they know how to fight humans now. He paused and looked out at the alien fleet through the bridge windows. They are about to learn they are wrong. We are not here to fight a fair battle. We are here to win completely. Prepare for full deployment. Every team, every soldier. We are going to hit them everywhere at once. Throughout the ship, soldiers began preparing for the largest human military action in galactic history. 300 apex predators were about to show the universe why Earth had never been conquered. The Devourers had made a mistake. They had revealed their true forms and shown their full strength. But in doing so, they had also shown human soldiers exactly where to strike. The hunt was about to begin in earnest, and this time, the Predators were going to finish what they started. When it was over, Danny stood over the fallen creature and activated the central neural disruptor. The device sent a signal throughout the home ship and beyond, reaching every Devourer vessel in the galaxy. Across space, millions of enslaved beings suddenly opened their eyes. For the first time in centuries, their minds were their own again. The Devourer Empire collapsed in minutes. 3 weeks later, Danny Wright stood on the observation deck of the Shadow of Terra as it prepared to return to Earth. Below them, Kalani Prime was being rebuilt. Free beings from dozens of species were working together to create something new and better. Admiral Lisa Hayes had sent a message congratulating them on their success. President Coleman had authorized medals for every member of the Reaper Pack. Earth was proud of its children, but the most meaningful thanks had come from the Ellie. The final battle began at dawn on Kalani Prime. Colonel Danny Wright stood on the observation deck of the Shadow of Terra and watched the sunrise over the alien world. Soon, that sun would witness something the galaxy had never seen before. 300 human soldiers were about to show the universe what apex predators looked like when they fought for justice. "All teams report ready," Major Kate Sullivan announced. "Assault groups Alpha through Omega are prepared for simultaneous deployment." Danny nodded. They were about to attack 12 different Devourer vessels at the same time. Each team would target a pure Devourer ship, the living weapons that controlled thousands of enslaved Kalani. "Remember," Danny spoke into his communicator, reaching every soldier on the ship, "we are not just fighting for the Kalani. We are fighting for every species that might face this enemy in the future. We are showing the galaxy that evil does not win when humans are watching." Lieutenant Commander Ben Rogers took the Shadow of Terra into position above the Devourer fleet. The stealth ship was invisible to alien sensors, but soon that would not matter. Once the attack began, every enemy in the system would know exactly where they were. "Deployment in 30 seconds, Ben announced. In the deployment bays, human soldiers made final checks of their equipment. Each one carried weapons designed specifically for this battle. Neural disruptors to free enslaved aliens, thermite charges to burn through organic armor, monomolecular blades that could cut through anything. But their most dangerous weapon was their determination. These soldiers had volunteered to travel 12 light years to help strangers. They were willing to die to protect people they had never met. 10 seconds, Ben counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! 12 deployment bays opened simultaneously. 300 human soldiers launched themselves into space, moving toward targets across the entire star system. They moved faster and more silently than anything the Devourers had ever seen. The first sign of trouble came when Assault Team Alpha reached their target ship. Sergeant Mike Davis led his team through a hull breach and into the alien vessels, organic corridors. What they found inside was worse than anyone had expected. "Colonel," Davis reported over his communicator, "this ship is not just controlling Kalani. I count at least 6 different species in here. The Devourers have been enslaving aliens for centuries. Other teams reported similar findings. The pure Devourer ships contained victims from dozens of different civilizations. Some had been enslaved so long that they had forgotten their original identities. Free them all," Danny ordered. Every single one. The human soldiers moved through the alien ships like a plague of liberation. They cut through devourer defenses with mechanical precision. They freed enslaved beings with careful use of neural disruptors. They fought with a coordination that seemed impossible to the aliens who tried to stop them. Team Gamma, led by Captain Ryan Brooks, reached the brain center of their target vessel. The chamber contained hundreds of enslaved beings wired directly into the ship's control systems. Some had been connected for so long that organic cables had grown into their bodies. "This is monstrous," whispered Corporal Lisa Martinez as she saw what the Devourers had done. Brooks activated his neural disruptors and began cutting the control cables. One by one, enslaved aliens opened their eyes and remembered who they were. Some cried, others screamed. All of them had been prisoners in their own minds for years or decades. "You are free," Brooks told each one as he disconnected them. "You are safe now." Meanwhile, Team Delta was fighting their way toward the central nervous system of another Devourer ship. Sergeant Alex Turner led his soldiers through corridors that pulsed like living arteries. The walls seemed to watch them with thousands of organic eyes. "Movement ahead," reported Corporal Nina Walsh. She had become invisible and scouted the path forward. "Pure Devourer soldiers. At least 50 of them." "Good," Turner replied. "I was getting bored. The battle that followed was savage. The Devourers fought with weapons that had been grown rather than built. They moved with alien grace and struck with deadly precision, but they had never faced human soldiers before. Humans were persistence hunters. They had evolved to chase their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They could fight longer and harder than any other species, and when they fought as a team, they were unstoppable. Turner's team cut through the Devourer soldiers like a blade through flesh. They moved with perfect coordination. When one soldier needed ammunition, another was already providing it. When someone was wounded, the team adjusted their formation to protect them. "Neural Control Center secured," Turner reported, as his team reached their objective. "Beginning liberation protocols." Across the system, similar scenes were playing out on 12 different Devourer ships. Human soldiers were freeing thousands of enslaved beings. The alien control network was collapsing ship by ship, but the Devourers were not finished. They had one final weapon to deploy. Deep in space, the largest of their vessels began to activate. This ship was the size of a small moon and looked like a living cancer growing in the void. It was the Devourer home ship, the source of their entire species. Dr. Amy Foster detected it first. "Colonel Wright, massive energy readings from the enemy command vessel. They are preparing some kind of weapon." Danny looked at the tactical display. The home ship was charging something that made their sensors scream warnings. Whatever it was, it had enough power to destroy planets. "All teams, priority evacuation," Danny ordered. "Get out of those ships now." But some of the teams were too deep inside enemy vessels to escape quickly. They were still freeing enslaved beings when the home ship's weapon reached full charge. "Sir," Turner's voice came over the communicator. "We still have civilians to evacuate. We need more time." Danny felt the weight of command on his shoulders. He could order the teams to abandon their missions and save themselves, or he could let them continue their work and risk losing everything. He thought about the Kalani distress signal. The aliens had asked the universe to remember them as they were. They had tried to save others by telling them to stay away. But humans were not good at running away from fights. "All teams, continue the mission," Danny decided. "Free everyone you can. We will handle the home ship." Ben Rogers looked at him in surprise. "Sir, that vessel is the size of a moon. We cannot destroy something that big." "We do not need to destroy it," Danny replied. "We need to get inside it." Kate Sullivan understood immediately. "The Neural Control Center. If we can reach their primary command system, we can free every enslaved being in the galaxy." Danny nodded. "Ben, take us directly into that thing. Full stealth, maximum speed." The shadow of Terra accelerated toward the Devourer home ship. As they got closer, the true size of the enemy vessel became apparent. It was not just big. It was massive beyond imagination. Cities could have fit inside its landing bays. "How do we find the control center in something that size?" Ben asked. Dr. Foster studied her sensors. "There, the geometric center of the vessel. All the neural pathways lead to that point. Then that is where we are going. The shadow of Terra." Found an entry port and penetrated deep into the home ship. The interior was a nightmare of organic corridors and pulsing chambers. Some sections contained millions of enslaved beings from hundreds of different species. Danny took a small team and made their way toward the central control chamber. They moved quickly but carefully. The home ship's defenses were more sophisticated than anything they had encountered before. As they got closer to their target, they began to encounter pure devourers in their original forms. These creatures were ancient and powerful. They had been enslaving species since before humans had developed language, but they had never met Earth's apex predators. The final battle took place in the home ship's command center. The chamber was enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness. At the center stood the original Devourer, the first of their species, kept alive for thousands of years by alien technology. It looked at Danny with eyes like black holes. "You are the humans," it said in perfect English. "The new species. You should have heeded the warning. You should have stayed away." Danny raised his weapon. "We do not run from bullies. You cannot defeat us. We have conquered 17 civilizations. We are eternal." "You are parasites," Danny replied, "and humans are very good at dealing with parasites." The battle was brief, but decisive. Human soldiers moved with speed and precision that the ancient Devourer could not match. Their weapons cut through its defenses. Their determination overcame its alien power. 3 months after the Earth Council vote, Ambassador Kate Walsh stood in the docking bay of the ship Harmony. She was nervous, but excited. Today would make history. First official contact with a new alien race. The Zephyrians had sent a message to the human colony on Darwin Prime. They wanted to meet. They wanted to trade. They seemed friendly and peaceful. Kate had been chosen to lead the first meeting because she was good with languages and people trusted her. She had learned to speak some Zephyrian words from their radio messages. "Ambassador," said Captain Rick Stone. He was young but smart. Admiral Hughes had picked him to command the Harmony. "We are getting close to their ship." Kate looked out the window. The Zephyrian ship was beautiful. It looked like a giant seashell made of silver and blue metal. Soft lights moved across, its surface like waves. "They are nothing like us," said Dr. Ben Taylor. He had come along to study Zephyrian technology, but their ship design shows they think about art as well as function. The two ships docked together. Kate put on her best uniform and walked to the airlock. Her team came with her. There was Dr. Taylor, Lieutenant Amy Clark, who spoke for the military, and Sam Rodriguez, who would record everything. The airlock opened. 3 aliens came through. Kate had seen pictures, but meeting them in person was different. Zephyrians were tall and thin. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer. They had 4 arms and large black eyes. When they moved, it looked like they were swimming through the air. The leader spoke first. His name sounded like wind through trees, but Kate called him Veltar as he had asked. "Welcome, humans," Veltar said in careful English. "We are happy to meet you." "We are happy to meet you too," Kate replied. She tried to speak some Zephyrian words. "Your ship is very beautiful." Veltar made a sound that might have been laughter. "You speak our language well for a first try. Come, we have much to show you." The next few hours were amazing. The Zephyrians showed Kate and her team through their ship. Everything was curved and flowing. There were no sharp edges anywhere. Gardens grew in the walls. Water flowed in streams through the corridors. "Your people like nature," Kate observed. We come from a world of oceans, Veltar explained. We build our cities under the water. We think straight lines and corners are ugly. Everything should flow like currents. Dr. Taylor was excited about their technology. The Zephyrians had ways to grow metal like plants. They could make materials that were stronger than steel but soft as cloth. Their computers were made from living crystals. We would like to trade with humans, Veltar said over dinner. We have things you need. You have things we want. What do you want from us? Kate asked. Your music, your stories, your art. We have. Listened to your radio signals for many years. Human creativity is wonderful. We want to learn from you. Kate was surprised. Most aliens wanted human technology or resources. The Zephyrians wanted culture. What can you offer us? Lieutenant Clark asked. Knowledge of healing. Ways to grow food in space. Clean energy that never runs out. And friendship if you want it. Kate looked at her team. They all nodded. We would like that very much, she said. The meeting went so well that Kate called Admiral Hughes right away. She told him about the Zephyrians and their offer of friendship. Good work, Ambassador, Hughes said. Set up a trade agreement and ask them if they know about the architects. Kate asked Veltar about the black objects and the ancient warning. The Zephyrian leader looked confused. We have heard stories, he said. Very old stories about a race that ruled the galaxy long ago. But they vanished before our people learned to travel between stars. We thought they were just legends. Have you seen any of the black objects? No. Our space is far from yours. Maybe they were only placed near human worlds. This news made Kate feel better. Maybe the architect warning only applied to the space around Earth. Maybe humanity could expand in other directions safely. 2 weeks later, construction began on Outpost Liberty. It was built in the space between human and Zephyrian territory. Commander Alex Chen was put in charge of the project. Alex had built space stations before, but this one was special. It would be home to both humans and Zephyrians. The design mixed human efficiency with Zephyrian beauty. There were straight corridors for humans and flowing curves for the aliens. This is going to work, Alex told his chief engineer, Carl Miller, as they watched the first sections being joined together. Humans and Zephyrians working side by side. Maybe this is the future. Carl nodded. The Zephyrians are good people. They work hard, and they keep their promises. Better than some humans I know. The station grew quickly. Within 2 months, it had living quarters, workshops, gardens, and trade centers. Families from both races moved in. Human children played with young Zephyrians in the parks. Scientists from both worlds worked together in the laboratories, but not everyone was happy about human expansion. The Korthak Empire had fought with humans before. They had lost colonies and ships in border conflicts. When they heard about the Human-Zephyrian alliance, they became angry. General Marcus Webb received reports of Korthak ships gathering near the frontier. The Korthak were a warrior race. They had gray skin like stone and were much stronger than humans. Their ships carried powerful weapons. They are planning something, Webb told Admiral Hughes during a secure transmission. Korthak scouts have been seen in 6 different systems. They are watching our colonies. Let them watch, Hughes replied. If they want a fight, we can give them one. Our alliance with the Zephyrians makes us stronger. Webb was not so sure. The Korthak had allies. 2. The Nexari were traders who sold weapons. The Vorth were mercenaries who fought for money. If the Korthak could convince other races that humans were dangerous, they might build a large alliance. Far out in space, beyond the reach of human sensors, other things were happening. Deep space monitoring stations picked up strange signals. The technicians who worked these lonely posts were the first to notice something was wrong. Sam Rodriguez had been transferred to Station Echo 7 after his mission with Captain Morrison. The station was at the edge of known space, watching for enemy ships or dangerous space weather. Nina Foster worked there too. She had requested the transfer because she wanted to think about what they had found in the Vega system. The black objects still worried her. Sam, Nina called from her console. Look at this. Sam came over to see what she had found. The screen showed energy readings from the outer edge of the system. What is it? He asked. I don't know, it's like something big is charging up. The energy levels are off the charts. Sam ran the readings through the computer. The patterns were unlike anything in their database. Should we report this? Nina asked. Not yet. Let's watch it for a few days. Maybe it's just a natural phenomenon. But over the next week, the energy readings got stronger, and they were coming from different directions, not just one source, but many. Sam, Nina said on the 7th day, I think we need to call this in. Whatever is out there, it's getting bigger. Before Sam could answer, all the screens in the station went dark. Then they came back on, showing something impossible. Ships, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They were huge, bigger than any human vessel. They looked like they were made from black crystal and silver light. They hung in space at the edge of the system like a wall of death. Get Admiral Hughes, Sam whispered. Get him now. The transmission took 4 hours to reach Earth. When Admiral Hughes saw the images, his face went white. How many ships? He asked. We count over 3,000, sir, Sam reported, and more are arriving every hour. Dr. Lisa Park was called to look at the recordings. She studied the ship designs and felt her blood turn cold. These are architecti ships, she told Hughes. The technology matches what we found in the black objects. But these are not thousands of years old. These are new. Or the architects never left, Hughes said quietly. The mysterious fleet did not move toward human space. They just waited at the edge of the system like they were watching, deciding. On Outpost Liberty, Ambassador Walsh was having dinner with Veltar and his family when the emergency message arrived. All humans and Zephyrians were ordered to return to their home systems immediately. What is happening? Veltar asked. Kate looked at the message again. Her hands were shaking. I think the architects have returned, and they are not happy that we ignored their warning. Commander Chen began evacuating the station that same day, but he wondered if it was already too late. The ships at the edge of space had not moved, but everyone could feel them out there, watching, waiting. The golden age of human-Zephyrian friendship had lasted less than 6 months. Now something ancient and powerful had awakened, and Kate feared that everything they had built was about to be destroyed. Veltar found himself standing once again in the underwater gardens of his homeworld, but now he could see the quantum threads that connected all living things. Humanity had not just saved his people, they had elevated them. This is what the architects always intended, Park's voice whispered through the quantum realm. Not rule by the strong over the weak, but cooperation between all conscious beings. The galaxy began to change. Technology that had been used for war was converted to heal and create. Races that had been enemies learned to work together. The barriers between species began to dissolve as more beings chose to join the quantum collective. But humans, even transformed humans, remained recognizably human. They still love,